Why do people like Stranger Things? No, I mean, seriously. I saw Stranger Things for the first time this year, and I enjoyed it. It was one of my favorite sci-fi television shows to come out in the past 10 years. But I still had this question of,
Why? 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 Why?
why? Why do the general public like this television show? I mean, I know why I like it. I like everything that has anything to do with science fiction, but for the general public, most people don't like that. They would rather watch a comedy show like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office or Parks and Rec. So why do people like Stranger Things? Today, I'm going to be going over 3 things to try and determine why people seem to have such a fascination with Stranger Things. Just a quick note, this is going to have spoilers for Stranger Things all the way up to the end of Season 3, so don't watch this if you haven't actually seen the show. These 3 things are heroes, villains, and originality. First, let's talk about the heroes. Stranger Things doesn't just have one hero, it has multiple. In fact, there are so many heroes that while you could name 1 or 2 characters as the protagonists of the story and the show, without a doubt the rest of the characters in the show are all still heroes, provided they're actually fighting things like the Demogorgon and the Upside Down, obviously. First, let's look at the 2 people who drive the story forward the most and who are, in my opinion, the 2 protagonists of the show. Eleven, or
L, short for 11.
And Jim Hopper, the police chief. Before you come up in arms to me about why Eleven isn't actually the main character of the show, and that it's actually Mike, sit down and think for a minute about who you really root for in the show. Do you root for Mike, the teenager kid with a supportive family and friend group? Mike, the teenager that does well in school apart from the occasional getting bullied? Or do you vote for Eleven, the young girl who was tortured and abused until she escaped? Eleven, the girl who has had to fight countless monsters and people just to survive in the world that she was born into. 11, the girl whose mom is a neurotic mess. 11, the girl who has had to constantly hide her identity by dressing up in bitchin' clothes and has to learn social customs and cultures all over again just to fit in with this world. So, why do we connect with the heroes of Stranger Things? Why do we root for them? Well, Hopper represents dignity, respect, and commitment. Hopper's arc throughout the first season of the show is broken down into a simple case of man versus society. Hopper is a man and the police chief facing the society, aka the corrupt ideals of Hawkins National Laboratory. As the show grows, though, we get to see more of Hopper's comedic side. His hospitality of Eleven in the later seasons allows the viewer to connect with him more. It also allows him to show more emotions. He has something in his life that he can care about again. Why do we sympathize with Elle? Well, that's actually much simpler. Elle is a young girl who was abused. That is her first introduction. Unlike Hopper, when we are first introduced to Elle, we don't know anything about her. We don't know her occupation, and we don't know anything about her past or her ideals. Elle's past is murky at best. However, it becomes obvious very quickly that Elle has been abused. As Elle blossoms throughout the show, we continue to care about her because of the fact that she is growing and becoming stronger. Elle's arc is never completed. She continues to grow stronger and become more confident in her abilities throughout the seasons. As she does this, we as the viewer root for her as well. We want to see her succeed. And when her powers are ripped away in Season 3, it leaves open something for viewers to sympathize with and speculate on. We see Elle fail many times to protect her friends and the people and things that she cares about. Finally, before we move on, let's briefly talk about the dynamic between the heroes. It's great and very accurate. The Duffer brothers, the writers of the show, consulted with the kids who were acting on the show, and it's very apparent with how great the dialogue and banter comes off between the characters. It feels very realistic, and this also helps as a viewer for you to connect with them, especially if you are a young viewer and the kids are around your age, like I am. Now, let's talk about the villains of Stranger Things. At the start of the show, much of the main villain is shrouded in mystery. We see scientists go through mysterious rifts in space and time, but we have no clue what really lurks behind that rift. Even when the show finally gets to showing us the full Demogorgon, we still don't know a whole lot about it. The finale to the first season shows the Demogorgon getting Thanos snapped away, but we still don't know anything about it really, except for the fact that it's some sort of alien. This is further explored in Season 2 of the show, when we get Demodogs and the Mind Flayer. Something that Stranger Things does well is allowing the viewers to feel like a detective, and like they are as much of the story as the actual characters. As the true reach of Hawkins' lab is truly revealed, we realize that the Upside Down is bigger and more brutal than anyone or anything could have ever imagined it to be, even Hawkins' lab. Something that helps is that while expanding the world, the show never loses its roots. The villains are all related thematically and conceptually to the Demogorgon. The Demodogs are a very realistic example, and in the third season, what I like to call the Ultra Demogorgon looks like a Demogorgon on steroids. They all look similar to the Demogorgon in Season 1. The introduction of the Mind Flayer in Season 2 and Evil Billy in Season 3 also allows both the viewer and the gang to have to face multiple villains over the seasons, allowing people that didn't like the Demogorgon to have something to latch onto as well. The fights and CGI in the later seasons really add to the tension of the show, and allow you to connect more with the characters because of how ruthless the villains are. Many of them are animalistic and therefore have no moral compass. So we want to see the characters who are teenagers but younger than your typical college teenagers succeed. Many episodes of the show end with cliffhangers. This also adds to the tension and grip of the show, making the viewer want to watch it more. So now, I want to talk about the originality and the timing of Stranger Things and when it was released. Stranger Things was released at an incredibly lucky time for science fiction fans and fans of comedy shows alike. Shows like The Office and Parks and Recreation had already ended, and for fans of science fiction, it had been a few years since movies like Inception, Interstellar, and Ex Machina, and it was still a few years before movies like Upgrade and Tenet. The only other big science fiction movie that was released in 2016 was Arrival. Obviously, television and movies are different mediums, but the general consensus was science fiction fans and comedy fans alike were itching to find the next big thing. Stranger Things caught on very quickly, and the appeal of it was able to reach a wide audience. The writing was impeccable, and as the seasons went on, the CGI and character development got better and better. A lot of the concepts and ideas in Stranger Things are simple and have been somewhat done before, but they were taken to an entirely new level with innovative and creative designs for characters, world building, and monsters. Stranger Things does a very interesting thing where many of the characters are going to have to do something integral to the plot at some point in the season. The thing that rewards viewers is you don't always realize right away what that's going to be, but when it is eventually revealed and all the characters come together, it really feels like it's the sum of its parts. The payoff of getting to see characters do things consistently throughout the season is well worth it. Overall, I think much of Stranger Things' success can be attributed to its concepts and innovation of the film industry and TV as a whole. Crafting characters that are all different, unique, and innovative allows for many audience members to connect with at least one of the characters. Stranger Things' compelling action scenes and dialogue also make it a treat if you just want to put something on and melt into the background of your couch. Alright everyone, I figured just as a kind of end segment to this video, I was going to go through and just talk about some of the things that I personally enjoyed or had fun with in Stranger Things myself. First off, I kind of want to make it clear that Stranger Things is not my favorite show ever to exist, ever. I enjoy it and I like it a lot, but it isn't my favorite show in the whole wide world. The movies that I make video essays on are usually movies or TV shows that I enjoy, but they are rarely my favorite. First off, I want to say Steve Harrington's character and Dustin's character are some of my favorite television characters really to ever exist in terms of comedy and charm. They're actors, they do such a good job at portraying who they are and all the little intricacies of each character. The second season was my favorite by far, but I also don't think that the show went down in quality a considerable amount in Season 3. I really enjoy the monster design. I mentioned it a couple times throughout this visual essay, but the monster designs for the Demogorgon and the Mind Flayer are some of my favorite that I've ever seen in television. I think that how they interact with like D&D and what all the kids know and how they use that knowledge is a really interesting take. As I mentioned before, it kind of grounds the characters in a way that doesn't feel fake. It makes them feel real and like they actually exist in a not so far off world. I actually enjoyed Season 3 of the show. Season 2 is my favorite, but I still like Season 3. I applaud the writers, the Duffer brothers, for going in a different direction with it. I think going for a more lighthearted, like summer fun tone is perfectly fine for a show like this. I think a lot of people might kind of get misconstrued almost with the show. The first two seasons are very horror-centric, but I don't think there's anything wrong with realizing, hey, we can't keep this up forever, we have to change something up. And so Season 3 being more lighthearted is very good, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more. I think my rating of best to worst season would go Season 2, Season 3, Season 1, with the only reason Season 1 isn't quite as great as Season 3 being the fact that some of the CGI looks a bit weird, and you can tell that they're still kind of getting their feet in the ground and getting going. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you are also enjoying the new crisp microphone sound. If you want to check out more of my movie reviews and thoughts and all that, you can check out my letterbox in the description. Down there is also my Patreon and my Instagram and my Twitter. I hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time. Goodbye.